Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. I am your host, Giovanna Tartarone, and today we're going to be talking about nurturing our self-confidence. You know, as a teacher, I knew that if I can build self-confidence in my students, they would succeed at the end of the year. And self-confidence is something that we are born with. We have it when we're young, but then it begins to disappear and dissipate as we go through life experiences. So especially when we go through adversity, our self-confidence kind of goes down the drain. So today I wanted to really bring two special people that are dear to my heart that, like myself, have been through adversity, and they needed to build their self-confidence in order to come out winning. So with no further ado, my dear friends that mean so much to me, Sheila and Tanya, welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. Tanya and Sheila, I know you've been here before and you were called back again because you're just amazing and I love your smile. And you know, you really bring joy to me and I'm sure to my audience. So welcome. Tanya, there you go. You were muted. But Tanya, I will start with, I love to share our stories with the audience because this is how we connect. We connect through stories because we're not alone. Everyone goes through their trials and tribulation of life and adversity, but sharing how we overcame adversity is really important because it just gives people the hope and the faith that they can as well overcome adversity. So Tanya, I will start with you regarding, tell us who you are, what do you do, and your lovely story.
Well, thank you, Giovanna. Thank you so much for having me again. Feels like I was just here. It is such an honor to share the stage, and to pour into others through this medium. Really grateful. As you can see on the screen, my name is Tanya Powell, and I am a leadership and results coach. Wasn't always this, but it was through, as Giovanna says, that journey through that moment of adversity, and having come out on this side into purpose. And so, that big moment for me was in 2019 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and in that moment, just what is in this for me, and what is that blessing on the other side? And so now I'm here as a leadership and results coach, talking about leading ourselves, which is what we're going to talk about today, wrapped in self-confidence. I, like Giovanna, I'm also a certified coach with the Napoleon Hill Institute. And so it's about bringing so much of the mindset, that understanding along principles here.
Oh, absolutely. And, we really go deep into understanding ourselves. And Sheila as well has learned some of the principles through Bob Proctor's programs. And so she can relate to what we're saying here because she applied it into her life, right, Sheila?
Exactly. Thank you so much for having me here, Giovanna. Nice to meet you, Tanya. It's such an honor to be here one more time, inspiring people out there because we are just like them, right? And sometimes people see others and they don't feel like, oh, this is not for me. But it is. It's for all of us. We are all chosen. And God has this beautiful mission for each one of us. I am a cancer survivor several times. I had different cancers throughout the last 23 years. And I feel so blessed to be still here. And So what I do is that I inspire people that have gone through huge challenges in their lives to claim their life back and to be back to life, because what happens, both of you know that when we get a diagnosis, we kind of kill ourselves inside, and we start fantasizing worst case scenarios, and this is so sad. We forget that we have the faith, that we don't feel entitled to a miracle to happen in our lives. And that's the kind of light that it's my life's mission, to bring to people this hope and this love, so they can don't let that kill them before they die. Thank you.
Absolutely. I love that, because, I say it's either faith or fear, right?
Exactly.
What do we want to choose? And when we don't know better, it's the first thing we go into: worry and doubt and fear. And so our state of mind is unhealthy when we go in that direction. And what we feel manifests through the body. So it's very hard, and Tanya, you can also talk about this. It's very hard for us to heal or begin the healing process if we're in a state of fear. Can you
Yes.
tell us, right? So can you share with us, Tanya, like, what did you do to, what helped you? What strategies did you use to get out of that fear? Because now you know, right?
Yes, now I know. We have a thing we say success leaves clues, but really success leaves an entire blueprint. And when you learn to read that blueprint, sometimes you look back and you said, "Oh," and one of the things I speak about is the understanding that our body follows our mind. It's what we're
Yes,
thinking,
absolutely.
and 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 that drives what eventually happens. And so, I said on the last episode, when I was diagnosed was when I was starting to really understand the mind body connection and what happens there. And so, Sheila would know this also, that, Bob has this cutout. I'm sorry I don't have it with me. And on one side he has the positive, and on the other side the negative. And what happens, and the stress and the anger and the frustration that leads to the dis-ease in the body, that leads to the disintegration. And I remember when I saw that, I said, huh. And so I started working backwards from saying, okay, so I don't want this that's on the negative. I want what's on the positive. So I immediately jumped back up to the top. What do I have to do? Oh, it's about knowledge. It's about study. It's
Right.
about love, and so I started to really get connected with what we call, the higher emotions, the love, the joy, the happiness, the peace,
Yeah.
because then it was saying that's what leads then to creation and that wholeness of the body. But one of the biggest things for me was being able to focus on what comes next. What is that big thing that is calling me next? And I know where the conversation is going. So I'll say, however, there were so many times that self-confidence in that moment to get to there was such a challenge, you know. So that big thing for me was, but I'm going through this for a purpose. It's not
Oh,
happening to me. It's happening for me for a purpose. What is that purpose? And so creation in my journal was just such a big thing in that moment.
oh, it's beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Because I do remember myself as well. I worked so hard to climb the ladder. I did everything by the book. I went for two masters. I worked during the day. I went to school at night. I was on top of the world, and I thought my confidence level was pretty high because I kept doing what I needed to do to succeed. And then when you get hit with something like this, it's like the building just fell down. Your confidence level just got shattered. Your whole life, um, in front of your eyes, you can see it just go from where you are to where it ends. And without having the knowledge that we can redirect our thoughts, we can redirect the picture that we really want. And talking about that map that you're saying, I did a special video just from that, because it's about understanding versus not knowing. So where we're living, when we do live in a world of the unknowns, it becomes very, very scary, because all through life, we know what to do, to go to school and get a degree. We know what to do to come home and take care of the kids. We know what to do at the job. We know what to do. We always are prepared, right? If you plan, you prepare, But when you're faced with the unknowns, I mean, Sheila, I'm sure you can speak on that as well. It becomes like you're entering another planet and trying to control a whole new life in a different way, right?
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. It's so, when we are going through whatever it is, it's so hard for us to see a step ahead of us, because we keep inside our head. When I first had my first cancer, it was in the year 2000. I used to live in Brazil. There was no internet. There was no self-development the way it is today. And it was a miracle what happened to me, because I had another very scary thing that happened in 2002, when they found 10 nodules in my lungs. And there was all this spirit that I had no idea what was going to happen with me. And in my head, I started going the wrong direction. I decided it was it. It was the end. It was my death. There was no more reason. And I really start planning my death and everything. I start finishing everything and saying goodbye to everyone. I was in an MBA program. I told them, why bother finishing this? I'm going to die. And I remember that there was this miracle that happened to me. I probably mentioned this last time. This is so in my heart, that I had two little boys. One was 2, the other was 7. And all I was thinking about was about this thing that I thought in my head it was my end. And as Tanya said so beautifully, right? We don't understand that the body is nothing but the instrument of the mind. I didn't know this back then. I studied Napoleon Hill, The Law of Success. That was the book that changed everything for me. When I realized thoughts or energy vibrating, and we are just making things materialize because of that, and become emotions and become our actions and all those things, and come to the body. And anyway, I saw this light one day coming from my doctor's visit, when we found out it was not 10 nodules, but 20 nodules in my lungs. To me, it was like, okay, this is it. It's over. And then there was this thing that I got out of my head, and I saw those 2 kids. They were going to be without a mother. Oh. And I realized, I didn't realize any of this at the moment, of course, but it was so, I got this, I'm going to call this lion that Cleona likes talking so much inside of me, this fire, like leaving my boys alone, not watching them grow and going through life and things. No, help me, God. And I became so strong. I felt like it was really the Holy Spirit that just took over me. And I never had to do a surgery about that, any of that. And it's just so powerful when we trust there is something else other than ourselves out there. Because if we focus on us, see, I realized later that when you change the focus from me to we, like you, illness, we, wellness, right? If you change the focus From I to we. You go from illness to wellness. That's what
I love that. I absolutely love that. I know you mentioned that last time, but thank you for reminding me. That is so beautiful.
Yes.
You know, that is so true. And you know, I'm sure Tanya can relate as well. It's making a decision to say, no matter what I need to go through, I will go through it because my why, those 3-letter words, why, you know, after I finished asking the question, why me? And I heard, why not? Then I had the big why, because I didn't want to leave my kids here as well. And it's funny, as you're saying the story, I know you mentioned that your mom also was going through cancer. And here Tanya's mom went through cancer. And here my mom went through cancer. So I look at this and I say, wow, we were somehow given a little glimpse of what we were going to be facing, and to be strong, because our mothers didn't want us to feel the pain. So we were ready to do the same for not only our kids, but for others. You know, and I feel like this is the mission that we're on as coaches. We want to let them know, whoever's going down this journey, we know what you're going through. We feel what you're going through. We've been there, and you're never alone. There's always someone out there to help, you know. But yeah, the big why is, I think, what it begins the driving force behind the decision that says, that's it. Do what we got to do. Let's get this over with. I mean, you know, I look back now and I'm like, just let's do it, because I need to get on with my life, because it is my life. It's not anybody else's life. So you know, Tanya, I know you're just as strong as I am, you know, because your story, I heard it last week, but go ahead, share with the audience.
Yeah, you know, as Shayla was speaking, and something you said before, and you just said it, you know, our moms, when the journey ahead of us, and certainly I was my mom's caregiver just months prior to my diagnosis, and you know what got from her, she went through, and I wrote it down to share with the audience, that we got to give ourselves love and grace and forgiveness, because it's so easy for us to blame ourselves, you know, for this thing, and there's so much out there. But watching her going through and conquering hers with just absolute grace, you know, when it was mine, I'm like, oh, my mom did that, I can do that too. You know. And the big question I was asking, and I suppose because I had her success blueprint, so I didn't even ask myself, why me? I kept asking, how can I grow through this, instead of simply go through it, you know. And you know, in the Napoleon Hill Institute, today we started our 3-day self-confidence event, and one of the presenters this morning, Jeff, said, you know, he's learning how to ask a question, how to glow through it. And so when I heard that, I was like, because I never identified with the word survivor. I never said I'm a cancer survivor. Always said cancer thriver. And now I'm like, I want to switch that to glow up. I glowed through it. Yeah. And I share that because it's very important, even in, you know, we talk about self-confidence. When you're going through adversity. And certainly for me on my side, you know, I lost my hair, I lost my eyelashes, lost my nails. We end up with, you know, mastectomy. We're losing parts of us, which can immediately start to erode the self-confidence, the self-esteem, the self-image. And so it's always about going back to, well, who am I at the core? Now that I've been stripped of it. You know, Albert Einstein says adversity introduces man to himself. So I'm saying, you know, adversity introduces woman to herself. who am I without the hair? And see, it grew back. Now I'm like, what do I do with this?
Right.
So who are we at the core? And for me, self-confidence is, the base of confide is trust. And so self-confidence for me, self-trust. Am I trusting myself to go through this process? Am I trusting myself to lean on a higher power? Am I trusting myself to lean on God to get me through this? And when I get through this and grow through this and glow through this, am I giving myself self-love? So, I'm not even sure I answered the question you asked me, Giovanna.
No, it's
But
beautiful.
those three words just came to me as we were speaking. Trust, self-trust, that we have that strength and that capacity and the understanding to go through it. We trust that we're leaning on a higher power to get us through. And as you said, the why, for Shayla, it was her two boys. For me, I was lying in the hospital bed thinking, after 20 plus years working in corporate, if this is it, is this it? What's that purpose you have for me, God? I have not done that yet. And so I am not going to the grave with whatever you put inside of me. So, get me out of this and let's go.
Yeah. No, I absolutely adore everything that you said, because that is what we call nurturing, right? This is self-nurturing, forgiving ourselves, giving us grace, understanding that we deserve more, because we are not put on this earth to go through the pain and suffering, whether it be cancer or whether it be another illness. You did not come on this earth to achieve pain and suffering, right? That is not in any book, written in any book. But Sheila, please share with us, because I know you went through, I remember speaking with you when you were with your mom as well.
Yes. So I was the one who had cancer before, and the only person in my family, and there was no history, whatever. But when I last year got the information that my mother had breast cancer, it really shaped my world in a completely different way, because sometimes it feels like we can handle, but somebody I love go through this. I don't want that, right? So it was a whole new level of lessons and growth that I had to go through. And also, Tanya, as you said, I was also her caregiver. I stayed 6 months in Brazil, put my life on hold. But that's what we do for love. That's and that is so beautiful. What Tanya said. We need to go back to what are we really, and I think our self-confidence and this thing that I try to help my mother with, because there was a lot of criticism and negativity that was going on in her head, in her mind, and we forget that we are God's highest form of creation. It's so beautiful. We are spiritual beings in this beautiful human journey here. And all the things that we are going through, I'm listening to a book beautiful by Michael A. Singer. He's marvelous. He's talking about surrendering. When you stop judging the moment in front of you, the situations, the challenge, the contrast, whatever you call, and you just surrender and accept, and you really just put yourself there, like, what can I learn from this? How can I grow because of this? And then we end up with this marvelous treasure that is this toolbox that we just want to share with everyone in this world, because we want everybody to experience this light. Isn't it true?
It's so beautifully said. You're right, because through this pain and suffering comes, I say, the rainbow and the light and the beauty of who we truly are. And when we embrace who we truly are, the focus is not on what's going wrong out there and everything that's going wrong and who has what, and the meaning of material things kind of like go away, because life is viewed in such a a precious gift that I can't even explain the feeling within, because the feelings of knowing that life was almost taken away, and knowing that you got a second chance because you wanted a second chance. Let me make that clear, because we want to experience life to the fullest, and we knew we didn't at that point, and we fought for what we believe and we had faith in to survive it and to make it. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we're going to come back and just again give more tips on how we can continue to nurture ourselves.
Now, the vast majority, approximately 95% of the people of all countries, go around and around without aim or purpose. They drift with the circumstances of life, good or bad.
A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind.
Whereas the successful individuals create their own circumstances and ride them to victory.
When you're on purpose, you're living on purpose, you will never quit if you have a real purpose.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. But what I have done has been recorded, it's been tested, it's being taken to a free world, and it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born.
And it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born. We're some of those people. That we're spreading this to the world. As your awareness grows, the doubt is gone, so that you can manifest whatever it is your heart desires. Isn't that beautiful?
Welcome back, everyone. Yes, that's definitely beautiful, right? I remember there was a mentor that came to teach in Napoleon Hill, and he mentioned there are 4 things in life that are almost like the foundation that we all try to live by. And if we live by these 4 things, life is so much better, right? And one of them, number 1, is to love ourselves. This is where we say nurturing ourselves, but to love ourselves and give ourselves unconditional love, to forgive ourselves for those little things that we oh, I'm sorry, just okay, look. A little battery thing going on there, but to love ourselves unconditionally. Number 2, forgiveness, not only to ourselves, but everyone else that we feel has done wrong to us. Because when we hold those emotions, it holds us back from doing other things that we love to do. Number 3 was to do things with intention. There's one more, with intention. I'm sorry, the number 3 was be non-judgmental to yourself and to everyone else. Because we are intertwined, we are connected, whether through our energies, we are all connected. So when we are not at peace with someone else, it affects us emotionally, right? And number 4 is to do things with intention. To love yourself, intentionally nurture yourself. Intentionally say, today is going to be a day for me. And what that looks like, only you know. Intentionally forgive others, because at the same time, we have no idea what's going on in their life. We're very quick to judge. We're very quick to make someone else think that we're better than someone else. And I have to say that once I begin to embrace that really on a daily basis, to understand that we flourish with each other. We flourish when we are working together. And I'll pass it on to you, Sheila. Like, Does that make sense what I just said? Like, as far as, although when we are feeling with adversity, our mind wants to take us away from these four principles. But the truth of the matter is, if we stay focused and build that confidence, it gives us a direction of where we need to be, right? When we lose confidence, we have no direction.
Exactly. It's so beautiful what you said, Giovanna. I agree so much with every single thing that you said. And when you talk about forgiveness, we need to remember the decisions we made in the past. Those are the hardest ones, right? Because we forget that the person that we were before is not the person that we are today. We needed to pass through that to become who we are today. Yes. And so forgive ourselves and stop this whole judgment thing. We judge because we are comparing. We are comparing. We forget that there is just one of us out here. There is nobody like you. You watching this, you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop thinking you are less. We are conditioned when we grew up, by our parents, great parents, great grandparents, because that's the situation. They lived through war, through scarcity, through lack and limitation. It was very hard those times. And that's how things were. But now it's different. We can change ourselves. We can unlearn those things, and we can set new intentions for our lives. You got a bad diagnosis. What's your intention? I'm going to survive this. I'm going to get to the other side, and I'm going to inspire people out there. You're going through something bad right now. What's your intention? Focus on the faith. What is that you really want? What would you love to happen? Just think about that. Love yourself. Remember that you were created at image and likeness of God. You are a divine expression of God. And I tell God here because that's how I call. Some people call infinite intelligence, source energy, whatever it is for you. Just remember there is something bigger than us. And we're here. So set your North Star. Where are you going? When you set your GPS, even if you get distracted or get lost, it's still going to take you where you want to go. So pay attention to where you're thinking all the time. And just this chatter, silence it and listen to God. To what is that? What do you think you're going through this?
I love that.
Yeah. So it's so important that we just retune this GPS, because we get lost and we don't know where you're going. We forget, right?
And truly, who's in charge?
Exactly.
Our mind wants to take over. But Tanya, I'm sure you can speak to that, right? When we don't have this GPS, we don't have the goal that we want. And again, whether it's through adversity or just having a goal, a personal goal, if we don't have that GPS set to where we want to go, we will get lost.
Yes. And, as you were speaking before, I touched that, and I hope I remember to. But as you were both speaking, I also thought about, especially as women, we pour so much into others, and I have my cup here. It speaks about faith over fear. I don't know if you can see that, but I have it to demonstrate that, because we're talking about nurturing ourselves through, right, whatever is going on. But even as we're doing that, we're still pouring into others, pouring into others, pouring into others. And what we don't want is, it becomes empty. And so we have to ask, luckily I had this here, who is pouring into us? And so, even in that nurturing, and it connects to what Shayla was just saying, my 3 points that I also speak about is we got to decide first and foremost. Decide what it is that I want. What does that breakthrough look like for me, so I can focus on the breakthrough and not on the breakdown. Because if we continue to focus on the breakdown, we're emptying the cup. But as we are filling up, what is it that I want, I desire, our desires of God? What's my purpose? Let me get up, let me keep doing that. And then we have to believe, sort of believe that I can do this. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to grow through this. There's a blessing on the other side. I believe that I'm meant to be more, do more, have more. And so when I have those thoughts, no, does this mean that we won't have days that suck when we're going through adversity? Absolutely not. There are some days that suck. But when we adapt this kind of a mindset and focus and intentionality and constantly pouring into ourselves, then, the good days start to outnumber the bad, or the bad suddenly doesn't feel so bad
You're
because
in
the good days
control,
starting
right?
to feel so good. And then the other thing is about really becoming that person even before we get there, seeing yourself on the other side, whatever that other side looks like, whether it's that you've always wanted to run this marathon and that is your goal, seeing yourself running that. My mom used to just walk, around with one of her favorite pictures. And she would always say, that's the look I'm going back for, and I think one of the things Sheila said that made me think of this is not about going back to normal as to who you were and what you were doing. We have to evolve through this process so that we come out better, wiser, more purposeful, stronger, become that higher version of ourselves, not going back to the normal. The normal got us in trouble.
I will say I love this book. When everything changes, change everything, right? But
Yes.
that's really what happens when we go through this. Is it requires a change. It's asking for a change, and that was my biggest wake up call was you can't do what you were doing before. Like you're going through this, you now need to examine what is it that you want to change, what is it that you want to be, what is it that you want to do, not anybody else but me, right? And going to this experience as an educator, I'm like, I love to teach. But now I see that my gifts, I taught special ed students and it touched my heart because a little progress they made for me was a big win, right? They couldn't say my name at the beginning of the year, but then at the end of the year, they said Miss Gigi, or when they said Miss Gigi, I was to the floor crying. It was a big win just to say my name. And I said, after I went through this experience, I'm like, God has another plan for me. Why would he take me away from these kids that need me? Now I know that there's a bigger purpose. And we all have a purpose in life. But we discover it sometimes through this pain, through the adversity, right? Sheila, yes, you can talk about that. I'm sure you went through the same as well.
Yes, it's so interesting because so many people are so hanging on I don't have a purpose, I don't know I don't have a mission, I don't know what that is. And to me it came like a lightning bolt, right? Like it's just, it was obvious that you'll be a sin. I think Tanya mentioned at the very beginning, to bring this to grave with me. I feel like I was so blessed and have this treasure that was shared, that God gave me, how to get to the other side. And I have to tell people. And I have a group that I manage at the church. And I remember there was this person that came, and for so long, she was in this negativity. She actually went to the group for her daughter that had an accident. And every week I would pray for guidance. I say, God, just use me, guide me, show me how can I help these people, because all those negative things happen in their lives. And then one day there was this light that came on them, like, oh my God, I get it. And everything started going the other direction. I was explaining to them about those frequencies that we are, right? We become these magnets to where we are. We attract all those things. They are there.
Based on our thoughts, right? Based on our thinking.
Exactly. And if you, what you want is here, I want to be healthy and I'm ill, I cannot be just looking up and trying to get there. So what happens is I need, as Tanya mentioned, I need to become the person. So how does a healthy person walks, talks, go along and make plans and keep living their lives, plan a vacation for next year. Oh, I'm going through surgery, whatever it is that I'm doing now, but plan ahead. Keep living your life, keep doing your things. And about the purpose, I feel in your heart, what would you do for free? And you just spend hours and hours of your life doing, and you just wouldn't see time passing. That's your purpose. That's why you're here. You have so much passion about it that you just can't help yourself. You want to share, and you do. And so I feel like we are brought these opportunities that come like the kids that were in your world, and now there is everybody else that is being touched by you, Giovanna. And it's so beautiful because sometimes we need to let go that phase so we can embrace the next and the next, and those purpose can change throughout our lives too, because we evolve, we are different, right, than we were before.
Absolutely. I love that, and today I truly got a message I truly was inspired by a message from another colleague, Karen. She says, I want you to look at this text message and see what you're doing and you don't even know. And some lady said she watched one of the shows that I did with Karen. And she's like, she's so inspirational. I truly needed that today, something to that effect. And, seeing it and feeling it, that what a difference I am making in somebody's life without even knowing. Today we're doing this show. We don't know whose lives we touched, where maybe they just had a thought to start thinking differently. And this is why I do this from my heart. And we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're just going to talk about serving. Because when we're serving each other and being of service, it is the greatest joy that I know that I have within me that makes my life complete. We'll be back. So, I think of Bob Proctor, late Bob Proctor, and Napoleon Hill. And they say when you're in the midst of adversity, when there's so much going on, go serve, right? Cleona, our mentor, says that too. Go serve, because it gets your mind off of that. And just seeing someone else being happy for what you're doing to them, the joy bounces back like a bouncing ball. It's just amazing to see that you think we are having the worst problems, but then when you go serve and you see a different life, a different person and what they're going through, you take your eyes off of you and you help others. And I feel that is the best medicine that we can give each other. Tanya, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, I'm going to share this, really, really quickly. That is, That is it. That is the key. I remembered in March, early March, my dad had just passed, and I got a phone call from a young lady. She had just been diagnosed with cancer, and she was losing it. She said she was at the point where this is it, similar to what Shayla was saying. And I didn't say anything to her. I just went in the room and I poured into her and I shared just what I'm sharing here. And it's so funny. Today I was on a call with her, helping her to map out her business plan and her next steps. And she stopped me and she said, you don't even know what you did for me that day when I called. And she asked me something, and I said, no, I was in Mandeville, which is, hometown. And she said, what happened? I said, my dad had just passed. And she said, the day, so you took time out from, and I said, because I'm here to serve. And it's just something when you see someone's life just turn around, transform, or you just give hope, whether it's not about money. That's another conversation. We serve and we have, that was another conversation. But also, as you were saying, even as you're in that moment, because when I sat in that room with her and I was having this and I was laughing and sharing with her and encouraging her and inspiring her, I didn't even remember the pain I was in.
Right.
But it allowed me to show up even stronger for someone else, and so I listen, I subscribe to that. For sure.
And it made
for
you
sure.
stronger, right? It made you
Yes.
stronger. And I see it now with my clients, how I help them. It's helping me as well. It's nurturing myself as well. When you're coaching someone through the emotional and the mental side of the experience, it's just my own medicine. So Sheila, I'm sure you can relate to that as well, right?
It's so beautiful. It is. We don't see it, right? You feel like you're gonna help someone. When you walk away, you are the one that you're full, right? You are just. It's amazing. I have one just recent experience that I was not feeling well. I had my group at the church, and I wasn't sure how I was gonna do it because I was, sometimes you were exhausted, and it just like I felt like I couldn't do it. I told my husband I was gonna lay down for 15 minutes. And then he came to me and said, I just got a message from the priest at the church. There is somebody that just lost a baby, and she's devastated. And I jumped. I had just put my head down, and I jumped. And I went there I sent her a message. I'm going to the church now. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And she joined me. And sometimes we cannot take anybody's pain or anything like that, but just be there for them, listen to them, and whatever you feel like you want to share with them, or if you get inspired, have a tool or something that you feel like can help them, just do that. You don't need to be a professional. You don't need to have it all figured out. We just need to be one step ahead of the person that needs you. And don't feel like you are not enough, or you're not worthy of helping anybody, or you do. If you put your heart, in front of everything, it doesn't matter. Just
Absolutely.
be there. And you see how much, as Tanya said, we don't have time to remember that we are not feeling well, or I just went through this or that, because you're all there, fully present, trying to help this person. So I believe that's the best medicine ever.
A perfect example is 9/11, right? 9/11, it was like everybody ran to help. Everybody. We didn't think about how to get there. I mean, people came from all over the world to help. And when you look at that, how powerful was that? You didn't need a degree. You didn't have to be, uh, on top of the ladder. All you needed to do was be yourself and pour your heart out. And it was just an amazing thing to watch. As we talk about our thoughts, right? And nurturing ourselves. We're so quick to self-sabotage ourselves with thoughts. What strategy, Tanya, do you use? I mean, I know from Leona, our mentor, she goes, if you get a thought that doesn't feel good, just say delete, delete, right? And I think we have like 6 seconds to change the thought. Like have a strategy, a rubber band around your
Yes.
something to snap that negative thinking. But what do you use,
Yeah.
Tanya?
I just use one word. Stop it. Well, that's 2. Stop it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. There's a
Stop it.
video on that, right? I forget there's a doctor something on YouTube.
Something.
That says,
Yes, yeah.
stop it. Yeah.
The first time I saw that, and then somebody said it to me, and I remember one day I'm going down this rabbit hole, like what Sheila was talking about. What if, and I just said, Tanya, stop it, stop it. But in that moment, it's that pause, and you take a breath. This is also about nurturing yourself, because we're human beings, and we will have those moments, those breaks. And part of the nurturing is being able to recognize when we're going there and stop it. I think you had shared, Giovanna, about the elastic band too. But whatever it is, and then you put yourself in neutral. Okay, what am I thinking that's causing me to feel this way? What are more important thoughts? What do I need to do? And the other thing for me was affirmations, journaling, just getting back to my journal, whether it's to read what I had written before in terms of the vision, or just creating new affirmations in that moment. I know it sounds woo woo and whatnot, but it works. It works. It works. So it was simple, nothing complicated, just simple. Tanya, stop it. Let's go create. Let's go create. Yeah, and I was creating from who I wanted to be, who I wanted to become, and the results that I wanted and was looking forward to. And let me tell you, when you do that and you start reading again, you're like, yes, I can do this.
That's right. That's right. And then music. Oh my goodness. For me, it was music. Put the music on as loud as it can go in my car. And the beat, I mean, people looking at me like I was crazy. But every day I play this song, and I mentioned this before in my last week's session. This is the best day of my life. Every day. Every day. Because now I look at life so differently, that if I don't set the tone that way, I intentionally want my day to go well. And that's part of nurturing myself. That's part of nurturing myself. And Sheila, what do you do? And plus, going out by nature, I could be there all day near a lake, hours, and just enjoy the scenery, But yes.
I like to use this metaphor of being in a train station, and the thoughts are the trains coming, right? You have a destination, and the wrong train comes in. You don't get in. You let it go. Say next. Yeah. It's like those negative thoughts. So you don't embark in that train. Because if you do, 3 stations later, right? Sometimes half of your day has gone by and you're feeling all upset. And then when you stop and realize, oh my God, how did I get here? Then I do the self-reflection journaling, as Tanya was mentioning, because sometimes there is some healing there for us to pay attention to. And there's a very beautiful technique used in Hawaiian called Ho'oponopono that believes that every time a thought comes to us, it's a healing opportunity for. So you say, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. And there was one more, I don't remember. What was that? I love you, please forgive me, thank you. Yeah, there is one more. Anyway, you can look it up in this Ho'oponopono. It's beautiful. And but just be vigilant, like in your yard, like you're the gardener. If a weed comes up, remove it. Don't let them take over, because if it does, we get lost. We forget what's the main thing that was growing there.
We have to acknowledge, right? Just like our emotions, we acknowledge our emotions, but it's energy in motion. So you acknowledge it and don't give it too much energy, because the more energy you give to that thought or to that negative feeling, it grows. It grows because you're feeding something, giving energy, you're feeding into it. So it's acknowledging, saying, thank you for showing up. Thank you for the lesson. See you later, right? So that we can move on, and truly that's being in control. That's nurturing your self-confidence, because, final thoughts, self-confidence is what drives us to be where we want to be and have the belief that we can get there. We can get there. But this is all inside work. This all comes from what you say, the I am what? I am healthy. I am vibrant. I am ready to make life the best that it can be. The words that you speak to yourself is what you will see in reality. And final thought, Tanya?
Yeah, and I saw Gary dropped in the chat. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. That's what it is. Just final thoughts. It's always just remembering that we are so much more than the physical. We are spiritual. There is that power within us, and it's about just tapping in from that place of knowing, of belief, and from that place, you get to create, you get to nurture yourself, you get to recreate and show up even more powerfully. But just start from that place of believing that I can do this, because there's that power within me. I'm connected to God. I'm connected to that source, and I can do this.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And Sheila, last thought for the audience?
Yes, thank you. So remember that even though you read books, you listen to people, you're trying to follow this or that, trust that you are a divine being. And you got all the answers here in your heart. Listen to that voice. Pay attention to what your intuition is telling you and follow that. Even if it sometimes is against everything and everyone. If a doctor says something that you have a feeling, trust that feeling. Ask questions. Be your own advocate. Do your part, because you don't need to be looking for confirmation. You got it all. You are connected to God. You are part of God. So just trust you that you got it all within you. And you were born for something amazing. Trust that.
Absolutely. We all have beautiful gifts inside of us to share with the world. So trust that, believe in that, and you will, like Napoleon says, conceive, believe it, conceive it, and you will achieve it. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate you both. This was a lovely session, and I thank you again. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining Sparking Change with Gigi.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.